Hi, my name is Les Allen, and we're in my studio right now, and I'm going to give you a little tour. I'm a black and white film photographer, primarily works in still lifes. Over here is my cabinet of curiosities. I keep a lot of objects that I use in my still lifes. This one is full of tools and toys. Usually they have each one has a little bit of a story involved. Here's another drawer, for example, that has interesting pieces of wood. Some look like faces. I enjoy putting objects in my still lifes that have some sort of zoomorphic or anthropomorphic quality to them. And here is a drawer, some antique bottles, which I love to use in my still lifes. They also tell stories. This one's called Broadwell Druggist, the Broadwell Druggist bottle. That's been in several still lifes. So here's the camera that I use for a lot of my still lifes. It's an 8x10 Deerdorf view camera, and it uses sheets of film that are quite large, 8x10 inches, which is considerably larger than a 35mm negative, maybe 80 times more resolution. I have to take quite a bit of time to focus and extend the depth of field so everything's in sharp focus. I take light readings using a light meter, sometimes do more than one pop, and then when I feel the composition is right, the exposure is right, everything's ready, then I'm ready to take the photograph. I open, put the film holder in, pull out what's called the dark slide. So now the film is exposed to the image, and I simply open up the shutter with a click, fire the strobe. Sometimes I might take more than one exposure, often 3, 4 exposures. The dark slide then goes back in with the black part of the dark slide facing out to remind me that that sheet of film's been exposed. I then may do the other side, or I'll just simply take the film in and process it in the dark room, see how it turned out, and determine whether or not I have to come back to shoot again. Here's an example of a still life that I just photographed, and I'm going to be working with the negative in the dark room. This is a doll that was made by my daughter called Plumita Petita, and there's some other objects here, a fishing lure, a shell and sticks and so forth, a prism, which is to be viewed really from the front. But this is an example of sort of the surrealistic narrative kinds of pictures I like to do. Here's an example of showing what I do with the mirrors. The mirrors pump light into areas that are darker that I want to emphasize. So here we are in the dark room, and I'm going to go over quickly the process, some of the processes that I use. I bring in the film in the film holder. I'm going to take it out of the plastic bag, which helps to control the dust. And now in here are loaded 2 sheets of dummy film, which I would never open in pure light because it would expose the film. Okay, so once the film has been developed, I load it into this device called the negative carrier, which holds the negative in the enlarger. I then put on the light table, put a piece of translucent drafting film on top of it, and proceed to make decisions about how I can best enhance the contrast by blocking some of the light, by making pencil marks, or by cutting away with an X-Acto knife to produce areas where there's no blockage to increase the exposure. Then I stick in a piece of white translucent plexiglass, put it in place, and then I'm ready to go put it in the enlarger. Okay, so we're in the dark room with the safe lights on now, and I begin to look at the image projected onto the easel. Of course, it's in reverse. All the dark tones are light, the light tones are dark, and I make decisions about the contrast and exposure, and then I'm ready to expose a piece of photo paper. Okay, so this is done, we're pretending now, but this is done in the dark room under the safe light, not in the room lights that we have on right now. So we projected light onto a special paper called silver gelatin paper, and then there is a latent image on here that you can't see yet until we reveal it by processing it through a series of chemicals in the sink. There's a developer tray, there's a stop, there's a fix, and then we wash the print, and then voila, the finished print is available. You're able to see the finished print. It's wet, and it needs some more additional treatments, but it's getting there. Okay, so here's an example of a finished pilot print where it's been mounted on mat board, and at this point, if it passed inspection, it may be over-matted and framed for exhibition. So that about wraps it up. I'm Les Allen, and I hope that you're able to enjoy my show at the Freeport Art Museum in May of 2017. Thank you.